Hi, and thanks for joining us here at Rose Quartz Mediumship podcast, where we simply adore anything and everything healing and metaphysically based. It has been a year since we created the stone circle in Orford, New Hampshire, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that experience and the immense gratitude that I have for what that process was and how it shifted me. And I want to start by explaining that I have forever and always been drawn to nature and sacred sites that are focused on nature. And as part of my Druid program, there was a real focus on nature. And as I was moving through that program, it became really clear to me that I wanted to build a stone circle. And I guess it's not even wanted. There was a deep knowing that I was meant to. That was something that I needed to do. That was an integral part of my soul's work while here in this human experience. And I explored the concept a fair amount with my father, and he is also very connected to nature and sacred spaces, and he was all about it. And I talked to him about the concept of building a stone circle on his property, which is where I grew up in Orford, New Hampshire. And he said, absolutely. And so I did a lot of dowsing to determine where the stone circle wanted to be, where on the earth wanted to hold the stone circle, and where the stone circle wanted to be on the earth. And we found the most perfect location on his property, right where the mountain comes down to the flat part in the back field behind his home. And so the stone circle sits just in front of the mountain. And so I just want to pause and say it was a multi-year process to even prepare the land to hold the stone circle. And my father did the majority of that work. And while I was definitely involved with it, he was the one who was leveling the land and moving water so that it wasn't running through the stone circle and creating the space for additional temples that we will build on the property. And then last year in November, we realized that we had a window of time where we could actually put the stone circle in. And again, this was a multi-year process, right? So it wasn't just finding the place on the land that wanted to hold the stone circle and finding the place that the stone circle wanted to be on the land and preparing the land. It also was identifying the stones and moving the stones to the site and working with the stones. There was a lot that went into the process. And last November, it became really clear that we had a window of time where we could actually put the stone circle in. And part of the prep work that had happened for the 2 years before we put the stone circle in was identifying which stones were going to be in which locations and directions, what they were connected to. If you're not familiar with stone circles, almost every stone circle, the stones are connected to something. So they're not just randomly placed in a circle. And so I had spent a lot of time and energy working with Spirit, determining which stone was going to go in what direction, or connecting one stone circle to another stone circle to create an energetic grid. And there was a ton of fun and beautiful work that went into that. But we decided we had time to try and get the stone circle in before the ground fully froze. And so there was about a week where we put in all of the stones into the stone circle and actually created it. And that process was so profound and so deep and so vulnerable in a way that has been hard for me to talk about, which is why I haven't done a podcast about this topic. And it was actually the stone circle that invited me to do this podcast today. I knew that the process was going to be profound for me, but I had no concept of just how profound it was going to be. It opened something inside of me that gave me access to a part of me, an aspect of me that I knew so deeply and yet had been disconnected from. And so as we put the stones into the stone circle, as we placed them in the ground, as we dug the holes, as we placed them in the ground, as we straightened the stones and made sure that they were exactly where we wanted them to be, in the direction that we wanted them to be, and then tamped them into place, which is a whole process, by the way. And at some point, I will likely do podcasts that talk about that process of how to actually create a stone circle. But as we were doing that process, there's the physical and very present aspect of it. But simultaneously, there is massive change happening inside of my physical and energetic body. And every single night after having been at the stone circle and placing the stones, every single night that I would come home from the stone circle, I would have a really significant opening and an out-of-body experience. And ironically, with one of the really significant out-of-body experiences that I had, I came back into my body, and within a couple of moments, my son, who I'm very energetically connected to, also had an out-of-body experience. And so it was really clear. If it hadn't felt clear before, it was really clear to me that this experience was profoundly changing me and was giving me access to wisdom, ancient knowledge that was inside of me, and connecting me to ancient wisdom that was outside of me. And that experience, I'm so grateful for. I'm so grateful for it. Each night when we were done working at the stone circle, and I would come home and we would be exhausted and we would be getting ready for bed, and then it became clear that I needed to lay myself down because I was going to have an out-of-body experience. I knew that out-of-body experience was a recalibration, was a frequency shift, was a portal into a deeper part of me. And over the past year, I have such massive gratitude for the shift that I went through as a result of creating the stone circle, and the depth and knowledge and wisdom that the stone circle offers me. It is where we run our Magick School, and all of our Magick School events are hosted inside of the stone circle. And watching the healing that this stone circle offers, and the wisdom, the knowledge, the ancient knowledge, and the remembering of who we are and why we're here and what this life has to offer us, was profound, was really, really profound. And as we approach the 1-year mark of completion of the stone circle, I have been sitting with how much I have changed. And it's not even change, it's how much I've become exactly who I am. It's a remembering of who I am and why I'm here. And the access that I have to myself and to ancient wisdom is completely different. And so I've been spending time reflecting about how much I've changed and how much the stone circle has changed my reality and the people in my reality. And I am just so grateful for the frequency that stone circle offers us, for the wisdom that stone circle offers us, for the healing that stone circle offers us, for the expansion that stone circle offers us. And I very much believe that the stone circle picked me. I didn't pick it. And I believe that the stone circle is its own being, its own frequency. And I feel such deep love for that stone circle and the fact that I get to be a part of that. And I get to engage with that frequency. And as a result, it has had an enormous positive impact on who I am, who I'm becoming, and who I will be. And I will eventually record more podcasts about what the process was like. There were parts of it that were so fun, and really seeing how the frequency of each stone was divinely right for the location that we were connecting it to. And I'll give you a quick example. The stone that is our south stone. So in the stone circle, we have all 4 directions. And the stone that is our south stone was very much south stone energy. When we went to put it into the ground, it spun and it twisted. It was the only stone that dropped on the way to going into the stone circle. It thrashed and it was intense. It was fiery. It felt very much like trying to tame a wild horse. And there was heat, and there was fire, and there was intensity that was very different from each of the other stones as they landed in the stone circle. And that is just an example of how magical the experience was, to recognize that the stone that wanted to be the south stone, that we had identified as the south stone, was so south. If you work with the directions, then you'll know that that energy, a wild stag kind of energy, is very much the energy of the south. And so I cannot wait to give more details about the process of creating the stone circle and what each stone was like as it went into the earth in its resting place in the stone circle, and what each stone represents and is connected to. I will break that all down in a future podcast. But it felt important to me to just talk about the process and how profoundly changing the process was, and how deeply grateful I am that I went through it. And if you have not been to a stone circle or to our stone circle, I just want to invite you to find yourself at a sacred temple in a stone circle and see what happens inside of you and outside of you as a result of being in that frequency. We so appreciate you being here with us at Rose Quartz Mediumship podcast. And I hope that you have a beautiful morning, day, evening, or night, wherever it is that this podcast is finding you.